No way. I'm not claustrophobic, but that is ridiculous. Whoa.
I just got done interviewing James Richardson, also known as the business buying Brit, and he was able to leave his W-2 job just 3 years ago, and he now has a holding company of 8 companies that does over $20 million of revenue a year. This is one interview you're not gonna wanna miss. I asked some of the best business advice, how to scale, how to buy businesses, how he lost $1 million, and how he's making it back, all while we squeeze through terrifyingly tight, dirty, muddy tunnels and explore underground caves while we look for the legendary Monument Pillar on this extreme caving adventure. It's regarded as one of the most beautiful formations in Tennessee, Monument Pillar. Look how beautiful. It looks like snow.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You are known as the business buying Brit.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about before you became the business buying Brit?
I always wanted to buy a business, but I started my career as an accountant. So I worked in the UK, I worked for one of the big 4, my late 20s working in London, and they needed people in New York. And so I moved to America in 2015, and I met my wife that year in New York, which is how I never left.
Are you claustrophobic?
I've never considered myself claustrophobic. I think I'll be fine.
Yeah. You moved to New York.
Yes.
And you were still working for the finance company.
And I went all the way up to director, so it's kind of the second highest rung on the ladder. And I just knew that I deeply didn't want to do it. I wanted to be an investor, so I said to my wife, like, I'd rather try and fail than not try at this point.
With your wife, you're making this huge pivotal moment where you're like, okay, it's now or never, I gotta just totally pivot from what I'm doing. How is she feeling?
I honestly wouldn't have done it if she had been against it. She's scared, but she was supportive. I'm very grateful for her, and I'm grateful that I married well, because otherwise I could still be stuck in a job I didn't want to do. Okay. Oh.
And it's slippery.
Okay, let's do it.
Hey, perfect. Good job.
How's that make you feel?
That looks cool.
Okay.
Maybe I've just discovered a new love of this. Okay. That was fun.
Let me get up a little bit.
Yeah, go up a little bit more.
See why it's the most cool interview you'll ever do?
Yeah.
I hope. So you said you always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Why buying businesses? Why is that the vehicle for you?
Well, I did do real estate investing while I was in my career. Like cash flow wise, it didn't really work for us. So I guess because I did consulting, like I felt like pretty comfortable in businesses, but also it feels much more meaningful, like having employees and, providing valuable goods and services than just providing rental properties for people to live in.
What type of businesses do you have?
Okay, so we started with a construction business, 50-50 business partner, and he had construction experience. So we decided that was a good one to start with. And from there, we then added additional businesses in home service / kind of B2B service businesses for the most part.
What types of businesses do you not invest in?
I'm much more selective now because we bought the first one and we overpaid. And so we then kind of accelerated another purchase to kind of stabilize and then added a few more. I don't think I'd do another construction business, and then I don't do restaurants. I'm open to pretty much looking at anything else. But I always look at the risk profile. So if I deem the risk to be too high, at this point it's not worth it. You have to take that bold move first, but then you kind of de-risk as you continue to acquire businesses. Well, there's one more tour called like the guts and the glory. He said this one was more strenuous in his opinion.
Come in pretty handy.
See that waterfall?
Oh, cool.
That's another fossil. There's a little pit of water.
Couldn't you just take a nap though? Lights off, listening to that, couldn't you just take a nap?
Yeah, it's peaceful.
Perfect temperature. Okay, so you must have had a lot of emotions buying your first business. What were some of those emotions and how did you work through them?
Good question. Pure terror. I had to have my wife sign off, and then it was probably, I always say that handing in my notice and buying that first one and asking my father-in-law's permission to marry my wife were the two most terrifying moments of my life. And I don't think I'll ever top those two. Really, really scary. I was a late bloomer confidence-wise, and so it feels so good to be the other side and be like, I was bold enough and courageous enough to do it.
To do it, make it happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Why did you want to move to America? Besides meeting a beautiful woman, which you ended up marrying.
Something about it, it really is a land of opportunity, I feel. I think for someone who's business-minded, entrepreneurial, like America is far superior to England. There's so much opportunity here. It's so embedded in the culture, like business, entrepreneurship, positivity.
What do you think's different about Britain and America when it comes to entrepreneurship?
The whole landscape is set up differently. The mechanisms that exist, from a 1031 through to the SBA loan, which is the most popular way to buy business here in the States.
Yeah.
Like all of these things exist in America and they don't exist to the same extent in Europe. I mean, some of those mechanisms or things that exist create some of the opportunity,
Right. I've seen before before, you mentioned you overbought your first business by $1 million.
Yeah.
Tell us about that story.
Obviously very stressful. We didn't realize the loss, which I'm grateful for because we have a great president of the business who's managed it very well. Obviously used to big accounting where you look at audited financials, really crisp, clean balance sheets, profit and losses, cash flow statements. And now I've got thrown into this world of analyzing small businesses. This one wasn't through a broker, so it was just what they had on QuickBooks and it just wasn't the same. Like we knew there was risk, but I think we got to a point I was so desperate to leave. It was like, there could be some upside, there could be some downside. Let's just do it and try and build the parachute as we fall. But it was all downside, so there was no upside. It happened and I'm now grateful it happened, but it was pretty painful for the first year.
So you're obviously buying businesses with staff and teams in place. What are some of the biggest challenges that you found in some of the businesses or working with certain people?
Working with people is definitely like the biggest blessing and it's the biggest challenge as well. Like, I think one of the best things you can do in this game is to not have an ego because we still don't get it right all the time. We have a lot of employees now, but we still make great hires and poor hires. I mean, it's often people that are some of the biggest problems that we have to manage, situations that you wouldn't want but happen and then you have to work out what to do with it.
People business is hard. Yeah, I got it. We're getting ready to crawl. Behind the scenes, this is really hard to film in. It's very difficult because it's dark, it's slippery, it's all the things. Okay. So I know a lot of business owners who want to retire, who want to build a sellable business. What would you say are the top 3 things to make your business sellable?
You need to be out of the day-to-day. Like otherwise you're buying a job and the multiples reflect that. They're much lower. So if you want a good price for your business, you want to work yourself out of the business and not with people you've just hired in the last 6 months. They have to be like tenured employees, know what they're doing, and it needs to be more of a machine, system, not just like complete chaos with one person that's the linchpin in the middle of it all, because that doesn't work. And honestly, get your books sorted. Like good bookkeeping is rare. If you can get that sorted, it helps so much because it gives confidence in the person buying that it's not chaos. Obviously, I've got a whole range of experience now buying companies that have really good CPA reviewed financials and ones that have not. So that helps a lot.
That's huge.
And I really like buying from people who are retiring because if the person has the house, the car, the boat, and they've been doing it 40 years, like I just get a better set assurance that this is a solid asset that I'm buying, not just like, why is someone who's only owned this for 1.5 years suddenly trying to exit and saying it's the best thing ever, it's so profitable, but they want to leave.
But they want to be out.
Doesn't sound right.
That's really interesting. Those are really good tips. I love that. Did you guys catch that? So make sure you have an established business before you try to sell it. I definitely agree. You solopreneurs who are trying to do it all, you are the bookkeeper, you're in your business all the time. Think about that. If you want to sell your business, it might be the thing that hurts you from selling it. That's really interesting. I think that was gold right there.
Oh, this is the small hole, I think. 1 second.
Okay. Yep, right there.
Yeah, but where do I put my foot?
You want to stay as flat as possible. My knees can do a little bit of something. There you go, you got it.
Easy.
The elbow pads add more.
It's just that foothold. You gotta.
It is because it's like slippery. I made it. I start to get really giggly.
As a business owner, to get out of tight spaces, you always want to make sure you have good liquidity and availability. Cash, reserves, lines of credit, and that will always help you navigate through tight holes.
Nailed it.
Good time.
Nailed it.
I'll give you that.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Infamous legendary monument pillar. Did you guys hear that?
What was that?
It's regarded as one of the most beautiful formations in Tennessee. Monument pillar. Oh, look at him. I've heard you talk about your faith and that being very important to you. How do you think that plays a role in your wealth building?
The foundation of everything, therefore, includes wealth building, but wealth building isn't the goal. There are things far more important than that, which is living a purpose, which I think God's put me here to do this, a passion for it. I just want to do the best I can. I choose to. I'll get up in the morning, make a coffee, I read 4 chapters of the Bible, and I do a short journal, and I do it every day, like 365 days a year, just because without that, you can get tossed around by the events of the day and the dramas that pop up, inevitably in the businesses. Without that, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I don't think I'd be a good husband or a dad either. without my faith.
I love that. What do you suggest a business owner start when they avoid their P&L like the plague?
You gotta stop avoiding it because the problem just generally grows. I've got too many stories to tell of people that have avoided their numbers and run their business based on feelings. It doesn't mean you need to be like a financial expert and understand everything about a balance sheet and cash flow statement, but like you need to know what your gross margin is. You need to know how profitable you are, like net on a net basis, what your revenues are, how they're tracking like year over year, quarter over quarter. It might sound like a lot, but it's actually quite easy to set up. So I don't know, once a week, once a month, once a quarter, make a decision, look at the numbers. Honestly, the numbers should drive your decisions, not how much you like someone or feel this is right.
I always say data-driven decisions. Numbers don't lie, they don't have emotions, they don't have feelings, and they can help you in those times when you're really stressed out and don't know where to go.
You know, what's that exercise where you always think of the worst possible case? Like it's often not that bad, it's the unknown, right? And so the same is true with numbers. Often it's the unknown that stresses you out more than like, let's get the numbers together, let's see how much cash we've got, what our revenue is. And then from there, you can make the decision.
It's good, so good.
I have lost all sense of time.
That's why I could see people just getting lost in here for days.
Oh man, whoa.
We are getting there. Watch your head.
I don't know how you do that with shorter legs. Don't touch that, okay?
Yep.
It's really pretty. Nature's beautiful, man. What's your why? Why you build businesses, buy businesses, build them, grow them, financial freedom, like why? For what?
You got lots of good questions. It's multifaceted. Obviously, I want to provide for my family. I feel like I'm good at this. I feel there's a need. Like there's a huge number of people retiring and selling businesses. And I think if other people can do it, why can't I do it? I love it. Lots of things. Plus, I think because we've got over 70 employees, I mean, let's think the average family size is maybe there's some, you know, large families and some single people, so probably help 200 people live. That's pretty satisfying. So there's like satisfaction in doing it and trying to do it well. I don't want to be in a world where private equity like
takes everything.
Yeah, it takes everything. So I guess I just want to play a part in the story.
That's awesome. So you have a business partner.
We're 50-50 in all our positions.
I love that. Can you give us advice on how to find a really good business partner? What kind of qualities you think it takes to have a good, successful partnership? So many partnerships fail. What do you think are some of the highlights to you and your partner?
We're very different, which I think is a big strength. Like I wouldn't want to go into business with someone with exactly the same skills that I have. I think being an entrepreneur is lonely, so being able to share the journey counts for a lot. You know, you share the good times and the bad times together. We met through a mutual friend who I trusted a lot, who was a business owner himself. So like the introduction was important. If it just been some random person off the street, I would be treading much more cautiously. And we actually worked together in a real estate capacity before we bought businesses together.
Okay.
I think it is good to test the waters in terms of like if you're able to. So I'm fortunate because I was doing real estate projects, so my business partner now was my private money lender. Our families had to kind of date, you know, the wives to meet and just make sure because they're good at picking up on the spidey senses if something's not quite right, you know.
Women's intuition, man, it's a thing.
Yeah, we needed like their sign-offs, which we got.
How long would you say that you vetted each other in some way by the time you worked together?
Our trust level was accelerated because of this story actually. There was one deal in Tennessee we were doing. So I'd agreed with him to borrow $140,000, like smaller home. The day before close, he forgot to move money around and he only had 100.
Oh no.
He was like, oh no, I don't have it. I can't get it to you tomorrow. And this is not good advice to people, but I'd basically said, oh, don't worry, I'll just wire 40 in and we'll close, because I don't want to lose a deal.
Yeah.
Like I'll close. Apart from like maybe like an email or a text, like there was no other paperwork to back that up. So not good advice to people listening. But then he was like, don't worry, I'm good for it. Like I'll send you the money next week. And he did. He wired it to me a few days after, back to me. And he said, I find that people who are trusting are often trustworthy. I'd never thought that before.
So in that test, he sort of tested you too.
Yeah, he kind of tested me. And maybe he did it on purpose this whole time and I didn't know. But like, I guess we both then after that were like, oh no, this is the kind of guy that I could take on these huge risks with.
This is pretty.
Welcome to Monument Pillars.
Oh
Wow. Beautiful. It looks like snow. We made it. So I end every interview with the magic question, and that is, if you had to do it all over again, what are the 3 things you would do to become a millionaire?
I would apply myself very hard in what I'm doing, what's right in front of me with my job. I would get experience managing people, managing budgets, and I would save up as much as I possibly could, but not just to save, but to then start investing. For me, ultimately it was businesses, but maybe for other people watching, it's real estate or other types of assets that you're passionate about, but you have to do that investing component. Otherwise, it's going to be a very slow road for you. Surround yourself with the type of people that challenge you. You always want to be like the dumbest person or the least successful person in the room. So if you consistently push yourself into bigger and better rooms, that will accelerate your journey.
For sure. That's great advice. So thank you so much for joining me for this interview. Thank you for doing this. This is crazy.
This is really fun. Look at our clothes. Look at our clothes.
We had a great time. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get more videos like this.